Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we meet Helen Cathcart, a photographer whose work Nikki and I have admired for years. Her travel, food and luxury lifestyle photography are, well, they're fantastic.
You probably admired her work without even realising it. She's graced the pages of the Sunday Times, Homes and Gardens, Condé Nast Traveller. Her images don't just tell a story, they transport you straight into a world of calm, indulgent escapism.
Now, her big break came after winning a photography competition with behind-the-scenes photographs she did of Swan Lake. This was straight out of Manchester University. So the prize was a 4-week placement in London. Now that placement stretched out to 6 months, and soon Helen found herself working as a picture editor, commissioning photographers, well, all around the globe.
Now that's a job I'd have liked to have done, actually.
Yeah, me too. But then again, do we really want to work with, photographers like us? Which is actually probably what we're doing.
Yes, actually.
Okay. So it wasn't too long before Helen swapped her desk for her camera and began building her own stunning portfolio. Taking a leap of faith, Helen moved to Australia to pursue photography full-time. Kind of like you do.
Some people do. Helen's fresh stylish approach quickly caught the eye of the industry influencers at the time, and when she returned to London, she was armed with a portfolio that made some waves.
Now, collaborating with kind of East London's emerging restaurant and cafe scene, Helen carved out a niche that set her on the path to becoming one of the most sought-after photographers in her field. You could really learn a lot from this lady.
So let's jump straight in and hear some invaluable advice, in her own words, for any aspiring photographer.
Enjoy.
To give advice to a young person now looking to go into the photography industry, or any of this industry, to be honest, what advice would you give them?
Well, obviously I'm always talking to my assistants, things like that. I do think it's good to assist, and I wish that I had, because I have no other way of, I don't know what way anyone else does it. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think being able to see what way people do things and then decide what way you want to do it is probably very useful. I think Photoshop can add another level to your work. I do very little post-production. It's really as it comes out of the camera. But I would like to know more about, have spent more time on that. And because I don't need to at the moment, I just don't invest the time in it. But I think it's just producing work so that you've got work to show people. So I'm always telling my assistants to go out and shoot, not to get stuck assisting all the time. I can see that there's two types of assistants. There's the type who are the best assistants that just want to help be assistants. And then there are the type who are photographers, which are also brilliant because you can ask their point of view and it's really useful. So yeah, I think just producing the work and not being afraid then to contact people about it. And I think people are very worried about contacting people. And I think that comes from quite often getting not very nice responses and
rejection.
Yeah, and you have to see it as, and also the people commissioning have to see it as you're helping them by showing them something new. And people commissioning have to also understand to reply in a nice way, because it's really hard to just cold call people. And I had an awful experience with one magazine that, that phone call I made that day, I didn't make another phone call for the whole day. And yeah, I think you can't be too scared about that. You have to just understand that you need to get your work out there, and then editing your work.
Yeah,
so.
And those knockbacks can be learning curves as well.
Yeah,
sometimes you've got to get back on the horse to just keep going through it.
And just you won't not getting replies. Is normal, sadly. And even, when you're established, like we still don't get replies and we still can't fathom why people can't reply. Or more annoyingly, when they come to you with an inquiry and you get back to them and then they don't reply.
They ghost you.
They ghost you. And again, that's sort of seen as normal.
So what advice would you give to new photographers and how much they should charge, what their rates are?
Yeah, that's really difficult. I think new photographers can often be exploited, and especially because photography is seen as something that you enjoy doing, so therefore you shouldn't get remunerated for it because you're doing something you love, when actually it takes a lot of skill and a lot of equipment. And I just think if you are starting out and you are being exploited in that way, just to try and have confidence and remember that is wrong and you're ruining the industry, because if people do stuff for free or at very, very low rates, then when people are getting rates that are justified, they can start to be questioned because, you know, somebody else is doing it for free. And what position they're in to be able to do it for free might be privileged. So I think even if you can, it's very good to understand that
Your own value.
yeah. And talk to agents, even if you don't have one. That's in their interest to tell you what you should be charging. So you can always get advice out there for that.
Actually, that's really good advice.
Yeah.
With an agency now, do you find that works really well for you?
It definitely works well for me now, but I was not with an agency when I started out, and not for a very long time. I think there's a misconception that you get an agent and then you get work, but agents do not want to take you on if you've got no work. They want you to be busy so that you're making them money, as far as I can see.
That's
So I was at a point where I was very, very busy and not managing my workload and becoming very stressful, because there's a lot to do outside photography, dealing with the emails, dealing with the inquiries, as well as, you know, pitching to people and clearly
marketing, it's the invoicing, it's
all of that. It's such a massive part of it. But quite often as well, when you're getting email inquiries, it takes there's a lot before you even get on the shoot. A lot of people will contact you and they don't even know how a photo shoot works, and you have to talk through the logistics and what's needed. Or you'll have much bigger clients that do, but they want to know everything down to the nth degree to be planned. So I feel really lucky, I guess. I never went looking for an agent, but I had a couple of agents contact me. And I met with them. The first guy was awful. He was very sexist, and I remember questioning him on something. I said, but you wouldn't take commission of my existing clients until you start getting me work. And he said, darling, that's not the way it works. And if you think that's the way it works, it's foul. And I was very young at the time, and I'm like, okay. And then I sort of came away, and I was like, oh. And then I had the wherewithal to email him and go, you know what, I just don't think it's right. And he came back saying, don't worry, I decided I didn't want you anyway. So that was a big mistake.
Why?
Not a big mistake. That was, I picked him inside. And then I went to another agency that they had a few more photographers on their books. And they were not, any inquiries that came in, they weren't keeping me in on the email loops, and I thought it was all very strange. I never knew what was going. It was all very secret, and to me, that's just. I thought, surely this is supposed to be transparent. This is supposed to be a relationship, a collaboration. Again, I'd no idea because I'd never had an issue before.
What you assume is, no, you're working together on this, you know.
Yeah. So I just didn't feel fully right about that. So that came to an end. And then Penny Tattersall approached me, and she has a small agency, Tattersall Love, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore because poor Penny passed away. But she came to me at a time when I was just so burnt out and overwhelmed. And I know that sounds good. I was really busy, but I wasn't managing it. And she just came in at the right time, sort of enveloped me.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And
Exactly at the right time.
yeah, and was really supportive. And till, half the time as a photographer, it's such an isolated, lonely thing. We don't all talk to each other. And just to have that person to bounce off is really the main thing, and to give you advice in an area that you're in, because no one outside this business gets it. And they all think you're a bit mental for what you put up with and go through. Yeah. So that was great. And then Abby, who worked with Penny on a part-time basis, then started her own agency, which is where I am now. Dylan and Friends, and Abby's amazing, and I think it works because we've both got a very similar work ethic. We both work very hard, but the whole premise of Abby, because she's so nice, the whole premise of her agency is that it's Dylan and Friends. We work with our friends, we work with nice people, and that's something that, as you get further on into this business, you realise is the most important things, because you just don't want to be on set all day with people that don't get what you're doing and that aren't very nice.
No, it's that your energy.
Yeah.
Got to find your people.
Yeah. So she's been brilliant, very supportive. And it's a small agency because she wants to give her time to everyone. So there's only 3.
Really good as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what sort of camera kit do you use, and what gives you your secrets?
Well, I'm not very into kit, probably because I'm a woman, not to be sexist, but I know the boys love their toys.
I think it's probably because you're an artistic frame.
Yeah, it's never been a massively important part of what I do. I feel there's so much more to it than the camera. But I have a Canon 5D Mark IV, and I have some very nice, expensive lenses with a lot of glass in them.
Do you take them? Do you take all the lenses?
I do, but
time?
I take my kit is as much as I can carry, and it's a point where I nearly can't carry it myself, but I don't want it to go over that because it's just more choice. I've recently bought a Leica M11 to try and get some of that creativity back.
Are you loving it?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely changes the way you shoot, slows things down. It's amazing for when you're photographing people because they totally relax because it's a small camera. I've seen them just react completely differently in front of it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's allowed me to take photographs when I'm not working, which I just didn't do anymore. I saw it was a real job, and carrying my camera kit was just the bane of my life. So carrying a big camera, I just didn't want to bring it anywhere. So I've loved it for that reason. I think it's so funny. I just think as a freelance, whether it's freelance or a photographer, the minute you get an email into your inbox and it says, do you want to go somewhere? You're like, yes. And you don't even know why. But I think you have to have that where you just want to explore. Mm-hmm. So just anywhere new. But I remember my picture editor at House and Garden sending me to Patagonia to shoot a new hotel, a Wasi hotel. And he took a big risk on me because obviously that's, quite a lot of money to send me there. And I was very new. But it was amazing to go somewhere like that was so remote and unusual and quite far away for such a good magazine. That was really memorable.
So how have you found negotiating or navigating the world of photography in this very competitive, quite male-oriented world? You've made it and you're doing it. So how are you getting that journey?
Well, I don't want to man bash.
But it's real.
But there's definitely a difference in, as you say, it is a very male-dominated, and that was not in my knowledge at all when I was starting out. Didn't even think about that fact. Obviously, it sort of became more apparent as I got into it. But I never experienced sexism, but I could see that being a woman, I could bring a different thing to what I was shooting. So I did feel that it was working in my favour in whatever I was being commissioned in. I do think you would get a different response from the subject. Now, sometimes you would go, and that might be more difficult as a woman. You mightn't get a great response from a male subject, but it was up to me to turn that round.
Sure.
Now, I worked a lot in food, so I was photographing a lot of male chefs. That would be somewhere where you might encounter some difficulty, and I did.
But they have their own competitive thing going on, don't they?
Yeah, but in some ways then I could use the fact that I wasn't another man in the room competing and just let them know that I wasn't taking any of their...
Yes. Yeah.
So in that respect, it was good. It was when I became a mother that I really noticed the difference.
And why? How?
I had no idea what impact that would have on my job. I was very naive. A lot of male photographers at that point, when they're having children, it doesn't affect them.
Sure.
Of course it does slightly, but just not the same as if you're a female photographer. I have to keep shooting up until a few weeks before I give birth. I'm up step ladders at 8 months pregnant. I'm turning down trips because I can't fly. So that was the first insight, but that was not even a glimpse of then what it would be like once I had the baby. And I think just that aspect of not being able to leave as easily, not being physically ready, and then not getting paid proper maternity leave because you're on statutory, because you're freelance.
Yeah.
Financially, it impacts you hugely. And I was so naive to that. And I just thought I'd just go back. And in one respect, I had to go back because I started panicking that, well, somebody else is doing my jobs. I've got no income coming in. I've got clients I'm saying no to. But it was so difficult. And
what about childcare, things like that?
Childcare. I had a brilliant client, Belmont Hotels, and they had the attitude that I wish everybody had, which was, we want you to do it, so we will make it work. So they let me bring my 10-month-old around Italy to every one of their 5-star hotels with me to shoot. And they didn't make me feel bad about it. They accommodated it. It was really difficult because I was breastfeeding him and I was awake every hour during the night. And one of the payoffs of that was I felt I had to perform even better. So I put even more pressure on myself that because I do have this situation of a child.
That must have been exhausting.
It was absolutely exhausting. It was one of the hardest times. And it informs then, are you going to do this again? Are you going to go through that again and have another child? Because it's impacting your career so directly. So they were very good about it. But I did experience other clients, not very many, but the very first client back I had was a client I hadn't worked with before, and that was really difficult. So yeah, I think in that respect, that's something I feel very strongly about. And then with the travel, I was just saying no. I just had cut that out because I didn't want to leave him either. But I went to an event where there were some other very successful male photographers, and they were just saying, I said, how do you manage it with your new baby? And they were like, well, I have to go. And it just gave me a real insight into, well, why am I holding back here?
Is this a motherly guilt? Or is it
motherly guilt? Just harder for you to leave your child because usually you're just that primary caregiver. And just I completely, you were so free before, that sort of area of what we do, having to go off at the drop of a hat or go far away. The way the industry works in that you are not told about shoots being confirmed till the last minute, that is just all not conducive to childcare. So that was a real readjustment. It's just not conducive to family life, really, because no one outside it understands that you actually don't know what you're doing maybe in 2 days. There's nowhere else that really happens. And it shouldn't be like that. I know. But it's still, sometimes, it just still is, no matter what boundaries you put in place, even for clients. I don't think it's even sexism that you feel a lot from clients. I've definitely experienced walking onto sets, and of course, as the woman, everyone, sometimes they don't think that you're the photographer. But a lot, and I'm not saying this for all male assistants, but I've had a lot of male assistants that have had an issue with me being a female photographer. And you can see it. They are struggling with the fact that you're in that position they want to be in. Especially because I'm not that technical. And they think, God, I'm really technical and I've got all this kit. How is she getting paid to do this? And it's an attitude that I can see immediately. And I even had one guy on a shoot with a client take out his camera to show me and the client because it was bigger than my camera or the latest version. And I didn't use him again after that.
What a donkey. I mean, here's a tip for any assistant. Don't undermine your photographer. It won't do you any favours.
Have you had that happen too?
Yeah, actually, once when both my assistant and the client started taking pictures of the model over my shoulder. So, yeah, I had to have a little word.
Definitely the wrong thing to do. But as you can probably tell, we had so many interesting stories from Helen, and we simply couldn't use them all because the episode would have been an hour or two long.
Or two.
But we will be peppering some of Helen's footage that we couldn't include into more up-and-coming episodes.
So we've got lots more videos in the pipeline. So please give us a like and please subscribe to the channel. It really does help us grow, and then we can make more content.
Yes. And if you're interested in hearing more about top women photographers in the industry from their point of view and hear their advice and knowledge, take a look at this video of Jerry Jarmer for more. Jerry not only tells about her photography business experience, but also the importance of branding and so much more. So
take care and see you next time.